Good afternoon, it's Liam Neild here with a bit of a impromptu video again today. Obviously, we are on the international break, which means that Manchester United are not going to be playing again until they face Liverpool on 12th September. And because I'm a bored individual, I've decided that I'm going to do an England preview show because all those people out there, okay, who seem to have some sort of stigma against every Man United fan. Now, I understand that we have glorious supporters who don't really know what they're talking about and pick us because we win everything, or we at least did for the last, 20 years or so. I don't think that it's fair to put that on every single Manchester United fan. I'll admit, I'm not from Manchester. I support Manchester United because my dad is from Manchester, and my brother, who is 5 years older than me, also supported Manchester United. So I was brought up in a Man United house, and I adopted Manchester United. Obviously, it's not rocket science, but I've still gotten shit for it over the years. And the one thing I do understand from people who support maybe slightly, less successful clubs is that they look at us and they say they get all the glory. They don't even care about it anymore. They don't even care when they win the Premier League. It's just another year when they win the Premier League, although it's not getting that way anymore. But I just want people to know that I have suffered because I am also an England supporter, and there is no international nation that has suffered more, especially not in my lifetime, than England fans. We have been shocking in major tournaments for my entire life. The best performance we've had in my lifetime, I'm 19 going on 20 years old. The best performance we had was when I was less than a year old at Euro 96 in England, where we still managed to lose on penalties to Germany in the semi-finals. And that's the sort of thing that I think pays my penance to footballing society. I have made my tribute to the footballing gods by adopting England as my national team. Not that I had much choice. You really don't get a choice in which national team you choose. You maybe get a bit of a choice in the club team you choose. But anyway, now that I've cleared the air on that one, I just wanted to take a look at the two fixtures we've got coming up and analyse the squad that has been picked. I have to say, my first impression of the squad was sort of, is that it? Is that really the best that England's got to offer now? I mean, I know we've not been very good for the past, 20 years or so, but we've at least had players who looked like they were going to go and do some damage, who really did strike some fear into the opposition. I mean, I think of the 2006 and 2010 World Cup teams, and they looked like they could have done really well at those World Cups. The fact that we didn't, is nothing down to the players. We had players like Terry, Ferdinand, Gerrard, Lampard, David Beckham, Wayne Rooney at the peak of their powers, and we were still terrible. And that's just the sort of dilemma that you face with England. And now we're getting to a point where not only do we not have any faith in the team to do well at major tournaments after the calamity of the last World Cup, we've now moved on a lot of our more experienced players, and that's the passage of time. Gerrard's gone, Lampard's gone, Terry's gone, Ferdinand's gone. They were the spine of our team for, the last 10, 15 years. And now we're kind of, I wouldn't want to say it's a period of transition because I think we've got a very young squad, a very promising squad. But it is a bit worrying for the immediate future. I don't look at this squad and think if this is the squad we pick, more or less, for the European Championships next summer, because I'm assuming at this point we're going to make it. I mean, we've been put in the most piss-easy group I've ever seen, and we've not faltered yet. I mean, England would be number one in the world rankings if world rankings were conducted by qualifiers and not actual tournaments that mattered and things like that. But I'm looking at the squad, I'm thinking, okay, it's quite a young team, and, there's a lot of potential there, but for the immediate future, it is a bit worrying. In goal, we've got Joe Hart, obviously, who's been our number one for, the last 5 years, ever since we had that calamity at the 2010 World Cup where we had Rob Green and David James, and just no one knew what was going on. But Joe Hart has nailed down the number one position. Jack Butland looks like a really promising keeper. I'm backing him to have a really strong season at Stoke this year, and I think he will put pressure on Joe Hart, if not, in the next couple of years. But by the 2018 World Cup, knock on wood, assuming we're going to go, he's really going to start putting pressure on what at that point will be an ageing Joe Hart, even by goalkeeper standards. And then Tom Heaton from Burnley. A bit worrying that our third best goalkeeper plays in a championship. Now, I know Burnley are a decent side, and I'm not nothing against Tom Heaton, but do we not have any other higher ranking, England goalkeepers? I understand he's third choice. It's not like he's ever going to play, but it's just, I don't know. I always feel like we have a better third choice than somebody who plays for Burnley in the championship. The defence is an area that is a bit I wouldn't say concerning. I'd say it's a bit. It's definitely intriguing, the defensive picks for this tournament. I think that there is a back four in this mix that could be England's back four for the next 10 years, just based on, the way they've been for the last couple of years and the way that they've started the season. You've got Nathaniel Klein, who could play right back for 10 years. Chris Smalling and John Stones, who have been magnificent in the Premier League so far. I would pick both of them over Phil Jagielka and Gary Cahill, who haven't been up to much at their clubs. And then we got Luke Shaw, who's been fantastic for Man United this season. So I look at that back four and I think, okay, there's a lot of potential there. Maybe not next year, but maybe by the 2018 World Cup moving forward. That is a really strong back four. Smalling would be a really good leader as the most senior of those players, and I think that's a really promising back four. The only real concerns with the defence comes from the depth, because we've got that back four, but we actually don't have another right back in the squad apart from Nathaniel Klein. I'm amazed Kyle Walker hasn't been picked. I mean, I know he's been injured, but I would at least pick him. We've got both Jagielka and Cahill, who, if they get picked beyond next summer's European Championships for England, I'll be astounded. Maybe Cahill, but Jagielka, surely he's 33, 34, he needs to hang it up for England. He's not been up to much. His World Cup appearances passed him by, and I think he needs to move on. Moving on to midfield, again, assuming we play a 5-man midfield, I would look at this midfield and say, there is 5 players in there who really can do the damage for us. We got Michael Carrick and Fabian Delph, who can play in central midfield together, and then the attacking midfield trio of Oxlade-Chamberlain, Sterling, and either Ross Barkley or Wayne Rooney, depending on if you want to play Wayne Rooney in midfield or not. But I think that's a midfield that really can, get business done. And that is a strong midfield. But again, it's the depth concern. We've got Milner in there again. Really, he's an unspectacular player. I'm not going to heap on James Milner any more than anybody else already has. But if he plays fine, he's a good player to have in the squad. He's a good worker, but not the most, Hollywood of picks. Not that we have too many of those to make. And we've got, John Joe Shelvey, to be fair to him, has been magnificent for Swansea. I think he's earned that call up. He's earned every inch of it. But Ryan Mason coming into the squad, and he looks good. He looks like a good young player, but again, do we not have anybody better than him to make it to the 23-man England squad? I mean, if we're taking Shelvey and Milner as our backup central midfielders, okay, fair enough. But is Ryan Mason really, is he the best to offer after that? I don't know. I mean, I think Nathan Redmond maybe earned a call up, but it doesn't matter. It's really it's not relevant. He's not gonna play a game, and maybe against San Marino on Saturday. And then our forwards, we've got Wayne Rooney, again, depends where you want to classify him, and then we've got Harry Kane, who's not started the season well, but does look like he's going to be a top player for England in the forthcoming years. Jamie Vardy, who's earned his call, just like John Joe Shelvey has, playing for Leicester, and Theo Walcott, who hasn't had the best of starts to his season. He's coming back from injury, but he's classified now as an out-and-out striker, so we've got him in the squad as well. So with that being the squad, let's move on to the 2 game previews. We've got San Marino on Saturday. I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm going to watch it. I'll probably watch it just because it'll be on at noon on a Saturday and I won't be doing anything else. But I mean, it's just going to be a walk in the park. San Marino never caused anybody any problems. They got their first point in history against Estonia or Lithuania, earlier this year. I mean, they're not going to cause us any problems. That'll probably be a game where Jamie Vardy will get a cap, Ryan Mason will get a cap, that sort of stuff. The real big game, and funnily enough, as long as we do follow through and win against San Marino, we should qualify, because I doubt Slovenia are going to beat Switzerland, and they're going to need to beat Switzerland while we, in order to stop us from qualifying with a victory. So I think we'll qualify on Saturday personally, but if we don't, we've got a game against Switzerland at Wembley on Tuesday. Switzerland are a good side. I was quite surprised, and I'm very impressed that we actually beat them 2-0 in wherever it was, Zurich or Basel, back when we started it off with 2 goals from Danny Welbeck. I was quite impressed with that. If we can follow that up and beat them, I've heard Hodgson say he wants a 100% record, and that would be fantastic. I mean, I can think back to the 2010 World Cup qualifying campaign where we got every win except the final one, where we got a 1-1 draw in Ukraine. And I'm not saying that had any bearing on the tournament, but we had a very strong qualifying campaign, and I was very optimistic going into the 2010 World Cup. Obviously, it didn't work out, never does, but yeah. And yeah, so the Switzerland game, that they might cause us problems. I wouldn't be surprised to see us drop our first points there, especially if we've already qualified. It'll just sort of be let your foot off the gas. But I think that'll be a good test to put our full strength team out in, because Switzerland performed much better than we did at the World Cup. Should have made the quarterfinals, arguably. I think they should have beaten Argentina. But with that being said, I'm done.